morning and welcome to day 63 of my 1,000 mile solo run across Nepal. I've just set off today in a hotel. Yesterday's hotel was a $1 hotel, but it was actually pretty good. It should have been probably 2 or 3. And I've just been looking for some food and I've stopped at a shop. So some people helpfully got me some biscuits, some oranges and an apple. And the tea that I'm trying, this is gold tea, but this tea here, this is ilam tea. So the tea plantation that I visited yesterday, that's where this tea's from. And although ilam is quite far away, in terms of running anyway, this whole region is considered to produce ilam tea. So I'm going to give it a go.
He called in the village Kiwi father.
Kiwi father, okay.
This one.
So again, I've not had kiwi fruits in Nepal, but apparently it grows in ilam. In ilam, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sumbek, yeah. Sumbek.
It seems that this part of the country has a very different climate, very different weather to the rest of the country, and different soil. So different things grow. Things grow here that don't grow in other parts of the country. I've noticed so many people saying and kind of repeating over, you're on your own, no guide. And then they ask, have you been to Nepal before? No, first time, without a guide, crossing the country. And a lot of people here seem really shocked and keep asking me over, like, are you sure there's no guide? You're in a group, at least. And I guess, obviously I'm relying quite heavily on technology. The GPS devices that I have, the maps, the backup GPS devices. Obviously I can't take paper maps on something like this because my pack would just be full of maps. So yeah, it's technology basically really helps me do this kind of thing. I was thinking, could I do it without all that stuff? Yeah, I think I probably could. Constantly asking for directions, it would take much longer. I would go the wrong way very, very often, but it's possible. Here, I'm in a very, very remote place. I'm following the road down to Terai, and on my map, I can see that there's this little path, like this, quite nice, that basically cuts off a load of roads. It seems like the road is not by far the quickest, way down. It kind of goes through lots and lots of different villages, and this path is just almost directly down. So obviously without my GPS, I would maybe follow the road. I would ask for directions when I could. There's not many people around here either, so I would just be following the road. But to someone that's not aware of the technology that I'm using, I come up to a little path, and there was actually someone stood there, and I pointed at this path, and I said, Danabari, this way, which I checked the map, I know the town that's at the bottom of this path, and he just looks kind of shocked. Like, how do I even, I confirmed it with him, but he's the same questions: on your own, no guide, how do you know where to go? But yeah, I have a secret weapon, which is the technology that I use. I know I shouldn't really, but when it's like a really nice path and quite rocky, so you can get good footholds, and it's quite steep down, I just can't help but run down as fast as I can. I shouldn't really, because the risk is not really worth it. Evidently I think it is worth it, but it's quite risky, I guess. If you trip, I could hit my head or something, but it's nice, and the trip is about doing things that I like. I'm just 3 days away from the finish now, so I feel quite good. I feel like I've got a bit more energy. So here you can really see quite well where I'm headed. There's still some hills over here, but the Terai, south is this way, and the Terai is over those hills. But the way that I've planned my route is, if you can see there, there's a river there, and the altitude of that river is basically Terai altitude. It's about 200 meters. And it's kind of like a little bit, the Terai is generally all the way over here, and it's cut its way through the mountains a little bit. And I'm going to follow that cut through in between these two hills. So when I get to there, that's it. I'm not going to be higher during this trip. I'm going to just follow it along that river and towards India. I've mentioned these switchbacks in quite a few videos because there's quite a lot of switchbacks here. Here's the road, and it just goes round here, and it's like a hairpin. It goes that way, and then there's another hairpin, and then it goes that way. Obviously, because it's steep, and this is for cars. So if you look at my watch, basically, I'll show you in a second. Here's a little shortcut, which looks like it's going to cut. So this is what it looks like on my map. So if you can see here, I reposition myself so I'm pointing towards the shortcut, and you can see the arrow there. The purple line is my planned route, and the kind of light blue line is where I've come from. So you can see the direction I'm pointing at towards the shortcut. It looks like it just cuts that road off, like it's just a little shortcut. And that's normally the case. There've been a couple of occasions where I've followed it and it just goes off slightly, slowly, in a completely different direction. But every time that's happened, I've actually ended up somewhere that I've really liked, and it's been worth it. So I tend to take these shortcuts. Going down, if my legs are fresh, fine. Coming up, I normally like to keep the ascent very, very gradual, so that either I can run if it's really gradual, or it's just less pressure on the legs, and the heart and lungs just doesn't burn too much energy, and it's much more efficient. And here it is. Here's the road that I would have followed, and here's another switchback, and I just came down here. So in this instance, it's pretty obvious that that was a shortcut, and it just cut a little bit off the distance. I'm currently at 200 meters above sea level. Come down from the mountains. This is the beginning of the Terai. Like I said before, it's kind of, there's hills around this area, but it's a little kind of channel that's quite flat and quite low down in terms of above sea level. That's it. It's it's gonna happen. The end is coming. 2.5 days now, foot days. One spare day, just in case I need it. Getting towards the end. I'm really, really enjoying today so far. It feels very, very remote. I'm quite aware that I'm not that far away from quite bigger towns, but to get there, coming down from the hills, just as I'm entering the Terai, it feels very wild. Haven't seen many people at all, very few people. I've just collected some water from this river because there's been no other opportunities. Just met the odd person, really. These videos started as just a way for me to keep notes. I always planned to keep notes during this adventure, and I was just going to type them into my phone. Early on, I just realised that, you know, with a case on my phone, especially, typing it in when you're sweaty, misspelling, you know, autocorrect, all that was just a bit cumbersome, not very comfortable. So I just hit record and kind of use it as a video dictaphone. But I've really enjoyed doing the videos, and it evolved into me kind of thinking about what I'm going to talk about, and looking for adventures, because, you know, I start the day thinking, right, what's worthy to put on video today? Let's find something. when I was actually running, there were only a handful of people watching these videos, and I hope those handful of people enjoyed it. Even if there's just 1 or 2 people, I would still do the videos, even if it's just for myself, just for the memory. But the whole process of recording, thinking of something to say, the camera in effect kind of turned into my friend in a way, and I've just enjoyed doing it. So that bridge may look pretty rickety, but it was strong enough to support mopeds. Just before I crossed it, a load of mopeds just drove right across it, no problem.